from ServiceNow, Quentin from ServiceNow. Making an attempt to record this video to explain one of the methods to import data to ServiceNow using Stream Connect for Apache Kafka. There's multiple ways to consume using our Kafka consumers. One way is to use our workflow trigger. Once you activate Stream Connect for Apache Kafka, you can set a flow that has a trigger, a Kafka trigger, and if you use that Kafka trigger, as soon as there is a message on a specific topic, then a workflow can be triggered. You can read the message from that flow. That's one way. The performance are not that great if you're dealing with a large volume of data. If you want to import data directly to table, meaning reading messages as they come to a specific topic and feed a table in your instance, the best way to use our extract, transform, load, and robust, what we call the robust transform engine. It's a bit cumbersome or complicated if you've never really used that solution, but you can use Stream Connect for Apache Kafka and use that technique to feed table directly. So I'm starting with that diagram to explain how we configure those extract, transform, load. We're expecting that customer, they may already know what this is, because this is something not specific to Stream Connect. This is something a customer use when they import data, let's say data from Excel spreadsheet or CSV file, or from script, and want to feed table in ServiceNow, and they already use this. But I was not so familiar with that, so I had to go through the configuration and the documentation to refresh my memory on those techniques. But basically, we're going to be configuring an ETL definition. This is so we can use a ETL consumer for Kafka. So what it is here on that screen I'm showing in the doc, we configure the input entity and the fields. So because we're dealing with Kafka, it's likely we're going to be dealing with a JSON payload that's going to have different fields. So I'm going to give an example here. That's an example for banking transaction that's we receive in the Kafka topic. So there is it's a simple JSON payload, and this payload will be used to produce a Kafka message. And so when we configure this extract, transform, load ETL in ServiceNow, we have to define those different fields, so we can basically parse them as they come to the topic, and we can do transformation or map this to a target field on a target column. So that's the input entity there in the definition. And then we define the target entity. The target entity is basically where we're putting that bunch of metadata. And so we're defining a table. In my case, I've created a custom table. So it's called the u_banking_transaction. I'm going to actually delete that record. I'm not sure if I can, but I'm not going to keep it. So that's a custom table with a different column. The column could be different name as the things we've seen in the payload. You're going to see I'm doing mapping after. So you can map, basically you want to map those fields coming from the Kafka payload to a column field in your table, in your custom table, if that makes sense. So when I was showing my table, I was showing this. So once you define that, then you apply the mapping, the source field from your payload to the target field. So I'm gonna start showing this to you in and this is also for me as a way for me to take notes if I have to do this all over again for another customer. How I've done that. So I'm gonna try to find the mapping, the banking definition, or it's already created, but I'm hoping I can go here in my favorite and open it. I should have an ETL definition in the list. Here, it's part of, if you look here, it's under system import set ETL definition. So I'm gonna start with this. So I guess this is the first thing you create. So here I went there and I created new banking definition. I've put a name, copy empty field, source field overridden. Yep, this you can play with that option. I don't really know what this is. I went to the ETL entities, and this is where I created the two entities that we explain here. The input entry and the target entities. So when you create your definition, you click new. The first one you create, so I'm going to open this, if you understand. Well, actually, I'm going to start with the import set. So here I'm defining, the name doesn't matter at all. There is no table, no path. You create it's a banking metadata that I'm parsing, so created the name import set banking. What's important is the entity field. This needs to match what you have in your JSON in Kafka, right? So if you want to read, if you want to be able to map and having the JSON parsed correctly and mapping correctly, you need to make sure the field pass here match with the field that you see in your JSON payload. The name here doesn't really matter, but what's important is the field path. So for each of the elements you have on your payload, you go and you click new, and you create a new entry, making sure the name match here. So that's what I've done. Don't need to set, there is no table involved in there. We read directly from Kafka. And so that's what we just reviewed, just to stay on the same page. It's an input entity. If I come back here, I created a banking transaction. You can see now I'm talking about a table. This is my target table that I need to feed from using that RTE, Robust Transform Engine. So I'm going to open it. Here I went and I put a name. You need to find your table there that you obviously will find. Right? So that's my custom table. It's my target table that I need to feed from Kafka. The path, I was not able to understand what this is. So I put a name. I was told the name here doesn't really matter. So I just put transaction. I keep everything default. And here I put the entity field. So the field here didn't do anything actually. I created generate field. And it's going to take all the fields that exist, all the columns that exist in my custom table. So you don't have to do many clicks. You just click generate field and this is going to generate the field for you. So you can remove those that you don't need for your particular use case, because it's going to take all the column from that custom table. So that's pretty much it. At this point, you have configured the input entity on your ETL definition and the target entity with the target table and target field. We've pressed the generated field button, so I didn't really create stuff one by one. Now we need to do the entity mapping. So I'm going to go back and you go here. It's going to be empty when you configure it on your instance. You go here and basically, as you can see, we map the source entity and the target entity, which has the two entities listed here that we just created. So I'm going to open it, see if there is anything specific. So you put a name, and then you say, hey, what's my source entity and my target entity? That's what we just created in the step before. And then you start mapping. So here is manual. You click new, and you start saying, hey, I want to map the source field coming from my payload, let's say currency, to that field in my column. Here, obviously, I'm respecting certain naming convention. I'm cheating a little bit. But in real life, the element in your payload may not match the name of the column on your target table. Where I wouldn't do this currency, and I will just submit. I'm not going to save, but that's a mapping from the payload to the custom table, right? I'm going to leave. I don't want to mess with my environment. And you do this for each of the field mapping. It's again, I'm cheating because it matches. It's kind of the same, except this one. See? In my payload, it's receipt URL with no underscore, and in my column on my custom table, it's named like this. So that's a way to find out. All right, so now that we've done that, I'm gonna come back. We've created the definition. So you have a banking definition. Now we have to go and create a robust transformer. So you go in a robust import set transformer and you create a new entry there. Click new. I'm gonna do it for you. Click new. And here you don't need a source table because we're picking from Kafka directly. But you actually need to put something. So I'm going to show you what I've done here. When you create your robust import set transformer, after having created your definition, you put the name of your transformer. Source table, you won't see a lot of things. You will find this imp_JSON event sync. Hopefully you find it. That's kind of a staging place for the data as it's coming from Kafka. That's my understanding. And you'll see when I run it anyway, when I apply the transform. The transformer definition is what we created. Because if you're testing, if you're doing POC or just testing, active the verbose mode. So I'm not expecting this to work the first time when you test this. So put verbose so you can better understand why things are not working. And then you click new to create the consumer, because at this point you need to subscribe to that topic from a Kafka RTE consumer. So we've created the definition, we've created the robust import set transformer, then you need to click new and to specify which topic you want to consume, from which topic you want to consume that payload. Now we've done the field mapping, the definition and everything, but we haven't told the system which topic to read from. So you can click new. And then, well, actually I'm not gonna do it because it's already configured. I'm gonna open the one that is already configured. I hope you can follow along. If I'm opening this, you'll see the RTE consumer, the import set transformer that I've created. I've selected data in single column. There's some explanation if you mouse over. If you import set table, refer to robust import set table, store in data single column. Again, not totally sure what this is, but in my example, it's working when this is selected, so I'll leave it like this. Here you put a Kafka stream. So you define a new Kafka stream. So when I open this, it's basically create a subscription to the topic. So let's say if I go back, I click new, it's going to ask me which topic I want to subscribe to. Here I previously, and I should have started with that, apologize, but it's a list of the Kafka topic available in Hermes for my particular instance. So when I started to create my table, I also went into Stream Connect and I created the topic. All right, so you have to create a topic. You can create directly from the Stream Connect UI. So basically select the topic. How do you want to consume? Like from the beginning of the of when you created the topic. So from the message number 1, we're gonna start reading the message, or just starting from when we activated the Kafka subscription stream. And that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go back, click on the Kafka, go back here. Here you'll see, once you start sending data, you'll see import set. And you'll see it's gonna be creating stuff in those tables. So I'm gonna refresh. And the topic, just because I wanna show everything that was required for that use case, I'm gonna go in Stream Connect, show you how you create the topic. You go in Stream Connect, I'm gonna open this in a new tab. You go here and you create new topic. That's as simple as that. The namespace, I always keep default namespace, and here I've put my banking topic and I click submit. There's nothing else to do. I'm gonna discard it. It's already created for mine. So I'm gonna go back to my RTE consumer. And at this point, I think that's pretty much it for the configuration. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So I will send a new message. Actually, I'm gonna go in the banking table and empty, or yeah, there's nothing in the banking table. That's perfect. So let's go back to the robust import set transformer. Not this one. That's not the one I want to open. Robust transform. If I click robust, I want to see all of them. This one. If I click on banking, you see the definition created. And there is transform history there. Some errors because I've done testing. Okay. So hopefully when I create a new Kafka produce Kafka message, we should see more data here. I want to open this, see if there is more information on this screen. Yeah, there is import set. Okay, in the RT consumer. So we can see I'm subscribing to the topic, the banking transaction. It's a specific Kafka robust transform engine consumer, configured to basically consume message from that topic. And because I have transform map, configured the mapping and the definition, we should see things happening there when I send the message. That's what I'm gonna do right now. Oops, I want to clear my screen a little bit. I'm using the Kafka apache Kafka client, open source. I'm just gonna use the default script that provided by Kafka to produce message to my topic. As you can see here, I'm producing a message to the banking transaction topic, and now I have a prompt waiting for me to put my payload. Obviously, we can do this in a programmatic way. Just to show, I'm just showing the plumbing at this point. You could have a replicator or some component to send the payload directly to Kafka. Here it's just me via the command line. I'm just gonna send one message, just produce one message to that topic. All right. So at this point, I have one banking transaction details being produced, sent to the Kafka bus on my instance, and because I have this Kafka, so now I can exit that prompt. Because I've configured the Kafka stream for that topic, I should see more data here. So I'm gonna refresh. Now it's a 8, and you can see if I filter by the latest, like just now, you can see the import set. So I'm gonna open it. I'm not sure if I can see much data. Yes, import set runs. You can see we've processed one record. Not sure. I think we can actually see show the payload. Not sure if I'm doing the right way. Here, processed. Import set row. Here we go. You can see the actual payload. That's convenient. I'm going to show you why in a minute. I'm going to finish and come back to this for troubleshooting. This is good to know. So I'm going to go to the banking transaction table on my instance, and you can see I'm going to refresh because I've been from previous test. Yeah, created basically a minute ago. So it's obviously here I'm just showing for one line, one record, but you get the idea. The Kafka client I just generated one message from the Kafka client. We can have 500,000 messages being produced. It will be the same concept. We're using those robust transform engine to map fields and the data, and you can do advanced transformation with script if you need to, transform the data before it's inserted in the table. But that's one of the way you can use Stream Connect for Apache Kafka to feed table in near real time. So now let's say you got an issue, the transform didn't work correctly. I'm gonna try to come back to my import set. I was trying to find you to show you how you can see the payload, and you can even replay it. Here you can see the payload that we've been reading from Kafka using the Kafka ETL Consumer. You can actually open it, make modification. Let's say you didn't generate the right format, the payload, you're missing a quote or something. So you're gonna obviously get a JSON parser error because the system cannot parse your payload. So it's convenient to be able to change the data here. And then what you can do, once you change, I can actually do it. I'm gonna change the transaction number. And you update. Oops, I lost my, sorry. I want to go back to my import set. Yeah, this guy. I'm gonna reopen it. I'm hoping I'm working on the right. Yeah. This one, hopefully. Yeah. So I updated the payload with 878787. And now I can click reprocess. So that's convenient. And you guys may know all of this. Me, I'm new to the ETL system on Servicenow. So I just want to import stuff from Kafka, but I want to use that ETL mechanism because it's the best way to feed the table in real time. Faster it's quicker than if I'm reading the Kafka message as they come to the topic from a flow. I think this is the best method, so that's why I'm going through this. So I was showing to you how you can modify the import set, so you don't have to resend a new payload for your testing. So I modified the value, and now I can click on reprocess. So it's loaded, and if I click transform, then it's gonna try to insert the new record to the table. So you can see if your mapping is working and everything. So you can click here. It says processed. I don't see error. Here means I've inserted another value, I guess. So if I refresh, I'm assuming. Yeah. So I inserted another line. So that's the idea. I don't know if it's maybe a bit cumbersome or complicated, but I recommend you read that piece of the doc. I'll put it in a link somewhere. This was a part that was a bit complicated for me. This is the third method to import data, to consume data from Kafka using Stream Connect. You can use a Kafka trigger. You can use a consumer step. You can use the API, or you can use that ETL, the robust ETL for Kafka, that ETL consumer. So what we were working on was that ETL consumer here, specific for Kafka, right? So we can read in real time. All right, this was kind of a note, like for me, a way to record the screen as well if I need to reconfigure, but I recorded it, so this can help others if you need to configure similar use case. Bye.